Welcome back, everyone, as we are about to jump into game number 2 here of Cloud9 versus TSM. Game number 1 was close at the start, but then TSM were looking mean, lean, and like a team. These boys brought it together after the best of ones were over. I'm Captain Flowers. I'm still here with Kobe, and Cloud9, as the losers of game number 1, have elected to once again play on the blue side. So we're going to see the draft look similar, at least in order, to what it looked last time.
Yeah, I'm interested to make what types of, or to see what types of change that they actually make in the draft if they still want to go heavy dive into TSM, because Cloud9 last year as well, some of the games where they drafted Hecarim and other heavy dive teams actually had a similar problem where they would overdive. There were a few of them where they would go into places where they didn't have vision and would get kind of over spread out and not be able to pull it back. So TSM on multiple occasions throughout the years have actually been able to punish them for this similar strategy, and I want to see if they adapt to that despite still staying on blue side.
And remember, even though we are into the series part of the tournament, we're into the knockout stage, it's best of 3s for quarters, it's best of 5s for semis and finals, it's still just single elimination. So that means if you lose here, you're done. You don't get another chance to redeem yourself. It's not like the summer playoffs where you're able to go into a loser's bracket. You get a shot at redemption. TSM can't try to run it back like that. Cloud9 can't try to run it back like that. One of these two teams loses out in quarterfinals, and Cloud9 does not want to be doing that. Coming out of the offseason, everybody was saying that C9 and Liquid were looking like the hotness. I was among those people. Those look like the two S-tier teams to me, but C9 clearly had some weaknesses that got exposed in that past game. TSM just looked like they were better prepared and better coordinated. So let's see how C9 changes it up here as we are getting into Champion Select for the second time. And boy, Mr. Kobe, things are looking rather similar to what they looked like last time here with Pantheon and Camille being banned away. And we'll see Renekton banned out as well.
Yep, similar focus here on Blabber with the TSM BAMs, top lane for Cloud9, trying to whittle down on this Huni champion pool. They're hoping to corral him back into, Gnar or something like that. But the Gragas still available, so that's definitely a very flexible pick. Can be moved to multiple roles and is very versatile for its own lane. Lulu following it up, so they have an inkling of some support play here from Sword Art, or maybe TSM looking for some enchanters in other roles. There are definitely other possibilities, but so far the same from TSM, and Cloud9 going with the first pick Kai'Sa as well.
Yep, running that one back. TSM hovering over the Gragas, hovering over the Ivern as well. We'll see if they break out some wackiness with that pick. I'm not quite sure. Everybody is kind of losing their minds right now over Moonstone Renewer plus Staff of Flowing Water. Ivern loves cheap support items. But no, they're not going to go with that. After all, looks like they'll just be picking up the Jhin here for Lost yet again. Last time around, it was Lost that was probably the least impressive member of TSM there in game number 1. So we'll see if he has a bit more of a pop-off performance here. But honestly, he doesn't have to. As long as he just stays safe enough, farms up, gets some damage off in the team fights, he's doing fine, especially when Spica is on this Nidalee once more. Kobe, he had an impressive performance in game number 1.
I'm interested to see if they change anything, because Cloud9 are down to run it back, it looks like.
Nope, Cloud9 are denying.
With the addition, yeah, of course. With the addition here of stealing the Gragas, they really don't think that Huni has that many options of champions he can perform like that on. And honestly, I kind of like that bet from Cloud9. They're doubling down. They say, okay, run it back, but Huni's on something that they think he's going to int more on. They say you can steal one, we can steal one too. TSM go with the Twisted Fate. This is so much better for combining with the Nidalee. Twisted Fate able to set up for possible lane ganks for Nidalee with the gold card. Gold card into Spear, extremely powerful, as well as working with Nidalee to try and aggressively take over this Hecarim early on and take over the jungler early on to roam around the map. We've seen so many teams effectively utilize this TF early on.
And the question I was going to ask, but it's already been answered, is will TSM ban away the Lucian so they don't have to deal with the same matchup that their opponents had to deal with in the previous game? The answer is yes. Power of Evil does not want to lane Twisted Fate into that powerful solo laner marksman. Galio also banned out here. Cloud9 saw how much Sword Art was able to accomplish with that frontline support in the previous game, so they'll take that one off the table as well. Now, here's the true challenge of the draft, Mr. Kobe. TSM's got 11 seconds, and I just wanted to lock in a ban. just a champion. Don't miss it this time. We got to make sure that they don't have 2 of those flubs back to back here. This is important. We got to be fixing the errors from game number 1, even if you won. And there it is. Jace banned away, keeping that one away from Fudge.
Interesting, interesting. I would be worried about something like a Sylas coming out, because I think Sylas both works well against TSM's comp in that you can steal Twisted Fate's ultimate to make global plays yourself, but also can dive with Hecarim. And Hecarim loves dive buddies, so they can have a more concerted effort in their dive. And it allows Perkz to still do similar things that he was doing when he was actually Twisted Fate, just by stealing the Twisted Fate ultimate. Plus, I know Perkz has a ton of confidence on that champion. He's performed on it on the world stage.
Well, TSM are going to go ahead and grab themselves something that is definitely not going to be flexed into the support role this time. They've got the Gangplank, so we know exactly where all 4 of these champions are going. TSM wants to save the final pick of the draft here for Sword Art in that bottom lane to get some power in the 2v2 and see if they can have a better performance down there in the lane than they did last time against Sven and Vulcan, who will be running the Kai'Sa with an Alistar next to it this time around as opposed to a Nautilus. And the final pick for C9. Okay, now we're talking. Now we got Perkz on something that has some real 1v9 carry potential, and I am hyped for it.
It's been so weird acclimating to the pick and ban phase in the LCS lock-in, because Akali has been a big outlier, where we're expecting it to be banned as much as things like Pantheon and Olaf coming into it, but it's got through so many games and now is put into the hands of Perkz. Name another champion that you would want to dive with you, as Hecarim. That's not something like Shen on your back. Akali is one of the perfect ones to do it. That being said, though, I also like the adjustments from TSM. The Gangplank for Huni, this, if you remember back to the days of All-Star Huni, is one of the champions that was permabanned against him. He has so many games played on Gangplank. He does a very good job both in lane, playing defensively or offensively, depending on where his jungler pathing is, as well as playing these team fights well. He has landed more triple chain barrels than I have seen from any other North American LCS player. Plus, I also like the Thresh edition here, for Sword Art into the Alistar, which is one of the scary picks we were expecting for Cloud9, that, Vulcan has had so much success finding these angles and engagements with it.
Yeah, last game, I remember in game number 1, Champion Select, you were talking about expecting to see an Alistar ban. It was a Thresh ban instead, so no Thresh potential there. Now that it's not banned away, Sword Art is picking it up, and that champion just has so much power to either go straight to heaven or straight to hell. You can miss everything and look absolutely ridiculous, or read the other guy's mind, dial it in, look like all your abilities are point and click, and it's incredibly impressive. Remember, the TSM are up 1-0 in this series, and it is only a best of 3 here in the quarterfinals, moving to a best of 5 in semifinals in the grand final after that. So TSM win this one, it's over, and Cloud9 are done until the regular season LCS starts up.
Yeah, and I know Cloud9, big fans of jinxes and memes, so this one's for you. Congratulations, TSM. No way that Cloud9 come back from a 0-1.
Oh, baby. Hobie wants the full 3-game series. I'm excited for it. Let's see how these teams play this one out. One difference I'm already going to point out between the Gragas performance we saw from Huni last game and what we're going to get from Fudge this time around. Huni did take Grasp of the Undying in the previous game. Fudge is taking Comet into the top lane this time. Spica has the Conqueror on the Nidalee, Blabber with the Phase Rush on the Hecarim. Everything makes sense here. Perkz not running Flash on the Akali, going for the very aggressive option of Teleport Ignite instead with Fleet Footwork to keep him topped off on HP. Power of Evil with Summoner's Spellbook just to give him more options moving around here. Bottom lane, we're once again seeing a discrepancy in Summoner spells. Last time around, it was AD carries having a difference of Cleanse versus Heal, as well as supports having a difference of Ignite and Exhaust. We're going to see the same thing here once again.
Yeah, very, 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 very important to take Cleanse versus Twisted Fate as an AD carry. Sven going to be able to pick this one up. Plus, your lane itself, Jhin and Thresh, you can even get value out of it there. So pretty much mandatory for bottom lane here, especially considering TSM have eyes towards bottom lane. They've got Gangplank ultimate they can use, plus Twisted Fate ultimate. These are those parties in the bottom lane that you rave about, Captain Flowers, as a jungler, not as an AD carry.
Yeah, I was going to say, as the AD carry on the enemy team, you're the guy who's trying to go to bed nice and early because you've got work at 6 o'clock the next morning, and all of a sudden 20 people kick in the door with a case of Bud Lights, and they're just having a great time partying hard until 2 o'clock.
Oh, nice sellout here in the story, too. I like it. Smooth, Flowers. All right. Both junglers are going to be clearing up towards the top side, though. I like how Blabber just naps his red first and then transitions into double buff. This sets him up. He could go for a super early play. It's definitely very rare on Hecarim to go buff Gromp into gank, but there is a possibility here. I will say that Huni has preemptively warded against it. You see that ward in the river in case Blabber tries to pull off one of those really risky, earlier ganks without cycling his jungle. Generally, Hecarim wants to cycle most of his small camps for his first back and first purchase. As we saw last time, you can get a Sheen right off of full clear and Gromp, and he's going to just try and do that. Thank you for the observers going over that ward to showcase how Huni is trying to account for these possibilities and allow himself to play aggressively. Also in Champ Select, we talked about how you want to play aggressively with Gangplank early on in your lanes with Trial by Fire in these melee matchups. You can stack up, go for the grasps, plus the Trial by Fire and Qs, and you can bully so many melee matchups early on, even though people are very used to hearing about Gangplank being a dive target and not being able to fend for himself early on.
Yeah, if he's allowed to just push with impunity and control the lane, the power of just point and click spam every time he's got Grasp of the Undying ready to go is just so oppressive for these champions. You can see there, Fudge even tried to respond by body slamming forward, but he came up a little bit shy. You know, Kobe, I have been playing League of Legends for over 10 years now, and I think that's the first time I've ever seen Gragas's body slam come up short. I feel like that hitbox always just magically expands to hit whoever he's aiming for, but Fudge just tragically a hair too short, so he ends up getting hit by the damage from Huni with the extra from the Trial by Fire. Of course, he's still keeping that farm nice and close up there as we see Spica moving into the enemy jungle here, taking away some of this farm from Blabber. Wants to steal away those Krugs. Remember, with the jungle changes in Season 11, you do want to clear out as many of the baby Krugs as possible. The gold was changed around because too many people were just clearing the big ones and then running away, so they put a lot of the value there in the little baby Krugs. So Spica got most of those. Blabber will pick up the last couple there and get the camp reset.
Yeah, some people are still running away from him. And the thing about Gragas body slam, the only thing that's a little tricky is, obviously you do stop on first thing hit, so you have to watch out for that. But yeah, it's definitely one of the most powerful abilities that you can have for a basic ability in these kits. Bottom side though, we see Roam from Sword Art to get that vision through the river with his first back. I love when supports invest really heavily early on in move speed and vision. Definitely both trying to attempt to do that.
Yeah, look at the ward coverage for TSM there on the bottom half of the map. Tri-Brush, Enemy Red, Scuttle Crab, as well as Control Ward in the Pixel Brush. These guys are feeling very safe if anybody tries to show up. If Blabber wants to go down there and make a play, TSM should be able to back away very comfortably, and they know it. That's why they're playing so aggressively. That's why they're this far forward. And Lost is currently enjoying a CS lead over his opponent. Power of Evil going for the flash into the stun, and here comes the follow-up from Spica. First blood for TSM.
Spica with the Nidalee pick again, and this time you get to set it up with Twisted Fate. This is why we sound like we're just broken records, Captain Flowers. Whenever we have Talia, whenever we have Nidalee, every caster shouting, all right, now pick some point and click CC for him in the solo lane. Well, guess what? PoE just showcases it there, stuns it, and Spica is so good too. With the gold card timing, he was close enough. He can even sneak in the extra auto first, still stunned long enough to get the spear hit. Nice ult from Fudge.
That was a beautiful cast from Fudge. Hit Huni perfectly to knock him backwards. Huni knows, even with Flash, there is no way out of that one. His fate is sealed. Good gank, even better setup there from Fudge, and Cloud9's tying up this game.
Yeah, very efficient gank. Blabber, able to get off that clear towards the top side of the map. He, remember, started his rotation down on bottom on Krugs, just clears straight up all the way to the top side, gets a quick gank off due to the setup from Fudge. You know, Gragas ultimate is one of those things without setup that you can look real silly because a small miss in the angle and your complete play is down the trash can. But really nice setup there. They get the counter kill, so it is back to 1-1. Still another close game here, heading into game number 2. And I like that they, you know, try and target Perks before Kali's level 6. She doesn't have the possibility of any shenanigans here, and doesn't have any sort of rebuttal as far as the big burst damage that you're usually worried about. Take a look at this one though. You saw it live, there's not really a big difference. The only thing I would also point out is that you see on the mini-map how this was during a timing where they had Sword Art roaming mid, and they even tried to hover Power of Evil towards the top side. So it was very, very important. Critical that Fudge actually pulled off a perfect Gragas ultimate there, and they finished the kill that quickly, because otherwise the TSM reinforcements are coming.
Now you've got Vulcan roaming around here a little bit, seeing if maybe there's something to be done. TSM also with one Drake already under their belt at 7.5 minutes here. Nearly a 1,000 gold lead despite the kills being tied too. And you can see the farm even in top laners and junglers, but mid lane, Power of Evil building up a nice advantage for himself. Immediately using the heal there from the Summoner's Spellbook, just getting himself away. Does not want to risk anything with Vulcan going for a flash headbutt pulverize. He knows Perks has Ignite plus the ulti ready to go. Just one misstep can easily be his death. Now we'll see if Sword Art can find any sort of retaliation here. It doesn't appear so, considering that ward from Perks is right down there in the mid lane, sees exactly what's going on. But Perks has to be so careful, man. Not having a flash. We saw what happened on the first blood with what goes down if he's just too far forward himself. The flash from Power of Evil so effective at setting up these moves. As Blabber not going to give away the blue buff this game. That's a nice part about having an energy-based mid laner. You got more of an excuse to keep it all for yourself. And Blabber heads over into the Rift Herald pit, starting up on this one. We'll see if this ends up being another wacky fight like the last one was. Cloud9 bringing Fudge down here into the fight as well. Spica rotating over, Power of Evil rotating over, Huni is here, Sword Art is here, everybody's showing up, and a nice wombo combo coming out. Vulcan is immediately ready, and Spica is immediately dead. Cloud9 pick up a free kill, they grab the eye, and that Rift Herald play went wonderful.
Yep, hide on bush. Definitely pays off here for Cloud9. Rift Herald now, that can be turned into money very quickly. Sven in the mid lane isn't going to have to blow anything. Actually just going to be able to utilize his teammates to help push in the wave too, and Cloud9 take over the entire top half of the map. Blabber's looking for counter jungle into dive.
Here he goes, going after Power of Evil. Immediate killer instinct, follow up from Sven, and Cloud9 made that one look easy. Double kill for the AD carry.
One thing about dive comps is that you want to keep up the pressure. You want to keep up these dives, even between turrets, while you have the extra added advantage of just having killed. Okay, just having killed one of the members of TSM. They don't want to let TSM get a full reset. If you let the map fully reset and then gain their bearings once again, trying to establish their defenses, that's what TSM wants, so then they can make their Twisted Fate plays offensively. But if you attack the Twisted Fate, while you still have the extra advantage here, they push the lane in, 4 members. Vulcan doesn't hesitate. Right after PoE takes the Lantern, he gets a double knockup. It's so good for the Alistar. You just sit right next to the Thresh, knowing that there's going to be a Dark Passage to save him from the Hecarim Kaisa initial dive. He just gets 2 for 1 on the knockup, easily able to lock up those kills for Cloud9 and bump them right ahead in the goal.
Cloud9 feeling good about these last couple of plays there in mid lane and up at the Rift Herald. But the silver lining for TSM, the gold is still very close in this game. Less than 3 kills worth, which means they are farming better passively than their opponents are. You can see here, item completed. You've got the fully done support item for Vulcan there in the bottom lane. Gold on your screen right now. You got Fudge with about a 500 lead over Huni in the top side, which is impressive in its own right, considering Gangplank gets extra gold just by farming with Parlay. But when Fudge has 1 kill and 1 assist, that easily explains what's going on there. As Blabber might be setting up for a dive here in the top lane. He and Fudge working together. Comet finds its way onto Huni. Huni's still defending here, setting up a couple of barrels. Blabber's still hanging out. Started to channel the recall and canceled it. You know they want to go after this. Blabber's going to find Huni waiting here, immediately dropping the red smite, comes back in with devastating charge. Here comes your TF ulti wanting to swoop in. Cloud9 already grabbing themselves a kill. The stun onto Blabber will not find him in time. Blabber with the onslaught of shadows over the wall. Blabber probably going to be picked up here. Power of Evil grabbing the kill. Spear from Spica. He wants to catch up, needs a little bit more distance. Flash for Flash, but Spica's still got him. Fudge falls down, and it's a 1-for-2 that ends up going TSM's way.
And with the pings, too, you could tell TSM expecting that top lane play. Question mark pings go down right before it. Huni getting a little close checking that brush, but because Fudge threw his ultimate trying to predict like a last-second flash from Huni there, without Gragas' ultimate, they're not able to get Blabber or Fudge out alive, and TSM collapse for the extra kills. That's a huge punishment. You take down not only the counter kills and regain control of top side, but also denies the early use of that Rift Herald. And there's only 2 more minutes left for these Herald plates, so Blabber has to be very careful about the next attempt that they make if he wants to get full value and get some of those plates down with it.
Man, if you're Cloud9, you have got to be upset at the Drake RNG so far in this series. 2 games where TSM starts off with a 2-0 lead on the Drakes, and 2 games where it turns into an Ocean Soul. That feels bad, man, but that's the state of the game here for C9, who do still command themselves a 1,000 gold lead. Shelly's about to charge. Remember, the charge does a little bit more than 2 plates, so boom! Look at that first turret for Cloud9. Up almost 2,000 gold now. Shelly should be able to get this second charge off. Half the HP on the tier 2 isn't a bad bonus prize on top of that first turret gold. Perks feeling good here in the mid lane too with that enemy tier 1 turret gone. Means that if Power of Evil just gets a little bit too brave, he will be food for Akali to pick herself up a freebie Perks. Still only with a couple of assists, no kills yet on this mid lane assassin.
Yeah, definitely expect Cloud9 to look towards side pressure now, though, that they've taken down mid lane. This is exactly what you want with a dive comp, is taking down mid lane turret first opens up the map so you can push mid and look to spread through either side and keep up this pressure. Very, very good that Cloud9 were able to push down that mid wave and activate Rift Rail to get this full value out of it, kind of recovering very quickly from the top lane fail. Because now you're looking at, from TSM's perspective, they're going to have to rely pretty heavily on the ultimates from their solo laners to cover these plays. Because Cloud9 definitely have, one thing on their mind, looking for Power of Evil. Where on the map is he? Trying to dive him again. Twisted Fate with no flash is definitely a big target. You do have to account for Stopwatch, and Proto Belt, Rocket Belt actually provides a decent amount of movement as well. But no flash, definitely a viable target here. Also would take out one of the possible globals.
Lost is in a spot that could easily get jumped on here if Blabber decides to fully commit. Nope, not today. They see that, all right, the Thresh is hanging out there. This dive is risky. We're not going to go for it. TSM's bottom lane stays safe. Perks is just on top of awards, so not going to get much of a chance to do a whole lot with this one. Gold card thrown out. Power of Evil staying a little bit too close. Ignite is dropped down. Stasis is used. Power of Evil in a bad spot here, and look at the damage from Cloud9. Blabber swoops in there as Spica wants to get in, find some sort of return kill. Perks in a bad spot. Perks is gone. Lost grabs the kill credit. Death sentence over the wall will not find anyone else for Cloud9, so this is a 1-for-1. Mid laners traded back and forth.
So actually, both parts of it come true, Flowers. They do find Power of Evil, with the big target on his back, and they do find that successful dive, but also TSM are still able to use their globals to cover for it, with Huni using ult and teleport, to get the counter kill onto the mid laners. So as you say, they do end up trading mid laners, and really the big difference is that Huni had to invest his teleport and his ult to do it, which allows Fudge to further open up the map, get more territory for these possible engagements for Cloud9 looking to pick people off, as well as getting a bit more money on him. And he's going Burst Gragas, by the way. That's another of the flexible parts of the champion. You don't have to go full tank. He's going Night Harvester. Here's another look at it, though. Again, you only have to account for the stopwatch. Power of Evil has no flash available, so they wait it out. They complete the dive, but because Huni teleports towards mid lane, you have a 3-pronged attack through the jungle with TSM's bottom lane roaming up, and that ensures you at least get yourselves the counter.
Yeah, in the previous game, Huni's most offensive item on the Gragas was a Sunfire. His job was to be the front line. That's what he was down for. Made sense. He had the grasp of the Undying. The comment from Fudge says, nope, he is not playing that meatball style. He wants to be the leading people 100-0. The stylish Gragas plays where you throw down the Q and then use your ulti to knock him into the waiting barrel. But the Drake is alive. Cloud9 currently with a 2,000 gold lead, but it's TSM starting up the objective. C9 wants to contest. Blabber is ready to go, has ulti, has smite. TSM knows that unless there's a fight beforehand, they are 50-50ing this, which can be very, very dangerous in a game of League of Legends that is this close. TSM trying to throw out a little bit of poke here. Still maintaining aggro on the Drake, taking a little bit of damage here and there. Now focusing on it, have it down to half HP. TSM committing to the objective now. TP coming in. Drake's going to reset. TSM getting themselves away. Very nice cast into the middle of 3, separating TSM. Cloud9 making the dive. Perkz exhausted here in the middle of the fight. Going back up the wall, chasing away Power of Evil. First kill of the fight over to Perkz. Vulcan disengaging. 1/4 HP. TSM still feeling not that great, if I'm being quite honest. Yeah, you got good health bars on 3 out of 4 of your remaining players, but one of your guys is also already dead. Curtain call firing off. Spica jumping in after Fudge. Spica might want to go in over the wall looking for this Drake, seeing if maybe he's able to steal it away, but no, sir! Blabber gets that one done, and it will not be a 4-0 Drake Soul here in game number 2. Cloud9 kill the enemy mid laner and take the objective.
And TSM had the right idea initially, was sending Sword Art towards the Tribrush to try and mark Fudge, but Fudge just waits it out. He stays on that flank, comes in with a really nice Gragas ultimate, which kind of dissects the team. You get half in and half of them out and away, so there's no follow-up damage. And Cloud9 are able to just get that kill off of Fudge's ultimate straight through the middle, allowing them to take, even still, a pretty risky attempt at the smite fight on that dragon. With Spica landing that spear, and if he had jumped in a little bit earlier, definitely decent chances for TSM trying to steal it away, but it does end up going and really, really stalling out the possibility of that Ocean Soul that you talked about, stacking up for TSM once again. If you get this third dragon and you kind of stop TSM stacking in their tracks, you buy yourself a lot of breathing room.
It's so much easier to play the game from that point. Let's take another look at how it went down. TSM losing their mid lane.
Yeah, and so Sword Art's watching Vulcan here. It's kind of hard because Cloud9 have 2 flanks. Vulcan on the top side, Fudge on the bottom. They do try and stop the Alistar, and Fudge gets in a really nice ultimate, as we said, kind of separating the team. Perkz and Blabber then have an easy dive. Akali and Hecarim can cover so much distance, and guess what? Twisted Fate doesn't build Gale Force, and Proto Belt not enough distance for him, so you're definitely going to need summoners to help out as well when you're trying to alleviate some of the dive pressure. I think this time around, TSM have a little bit fewer as far as their anti-dive abilities, and Cloud9 actually even have a stronger option for themselves, so they're able to pick it up. TSM going to quickly reset onto the map and trade a bottom tower for Rift Herald here, which Cloud9 can actually use to try and crack secondaries.
Cloud9 having 2 turrets under the belt, so only tier 1 still standing is that bottom lane tier 1 turret. That thing's pretty far away though. We'll see if Blabber wants to go for that one as the freebie or commit to these tier 2s like you were already talking about. Remember, the mid lane tier 2 did take a Shelly charge earlier after the tier 1 was destroyed by the first Shelly of this game. You have your Zhonya's Hourglass completed for Fudge for big playmaking opportunities. You can see that popping up on your screen right now showing the completion. Lost will just continue farming up here on the Jhin, maintaining that farm lead he's had over Sven for the entire game. Gale Force also ready to go. You talked last game about how important this item is for marksmen in this new season in 2021. It's just opening up so many more avenues, particularly for champions like Jhin, whose intended weakness is a lack of mobility. Just one slight positioning error, they're supposed to be dead. Having that built-in extra dash can give this guy so much mileage to be able to commit for more damage in the middle of a fight. As Huni might be waiting for Fudge to step a little bit too far forward here. That did not work out too well. And you can see Fudge now being the one in the middle of a 1v3, but he just slides away. The old truffle shuffle, and he's out.
Yep, definitely don't opt for the path through your opponents and head straight up through the river towards your team. Great decision making there for Fudge. Able to get himself out right to his comfort zone. Blabber now going to come answer a little bit. He also has the Rift Herald.
Oh, Huni getting jumped on. Nice burst coming down. Sven grabbing that kill, and they are going to make this one a buy one, get one free. Sword Art stasis only buys him a moment. I'm going to say that's buy one, get 1.5 free, Kobe. Not only did you get Sword Art as a bonus, but he broke his damn stopwatch on the way out. That is a big play for Cloud9.
Ah, he's going to have to get the face replaced on his iPhone now. That's going to be annoying. You got to get some extra care for that. Cloud9, they actually don't keep up, top lane split push here for Perks. Maybe because the extra minion wave on bottom meant they couldn't, immediately go for Rift Herald and grab the turret. I thought that was going to be the play. I thought, go for the dive, get the quick kills, immediately Rift Herald. The Rift Herald can tank up and take down the defenses on the outer turret, so it doesn't get the backdoor bonus. It can immediately take down bottom turret in preparation for the dragon. They opt to still reset, hold on to the Rift Herald. So this dragon setup will still be with TSM having bottom defenses, but just look at this. The dive that they've put together with this squad, as we mentioned before, Kaisa can join from halfway up the river. Sven does have to flash out because Sword Art is able to get the flay off before he stopwatches. But back out at it.
It does not stop, my friend. Cloud9 looking for the chance to make a play, but another TP showing up. This one's from TSM. Sven at 3/4 HP. Power of Evil the same. Everybody else full and ready to go. Drake is alive on the map. TSM with control over the bottom side river. Perks still up near mid lane, rotating down to the fight now. Some visions, some traps being swept away now by the side of Cloud9 as they try to approach a little bit further. Look from Sword Art onto the enemy support as Blabber's diving in. He's got the rest of the team behind him. They're already able to find the kill onto Power of Evil. Lost getting himself over the wall here with the Gale Force as Perks is looking to take down Huni in the 1v1. That smoke is nothing to mess with, man. Perks grabbing a kill. And Huni is out of the picture. Both enemy solo laners dead. Cloud9 going for their second Drake of the game. And things are slowly but surely slipping away from TSM.
And it looks like during the replay, Blabber actually put the Rift Herald towards the top side. This top inhib turret just took 80% of its life with the Rift Herald during the fight down bottom side. And so Cloud9 are able to get most of that one, almost all of it squeezed out with a little distraction Rift Herald as they go for the fight and force it on mid. That's some high value there, getting the extra kills as well as most of that objective.
All right, Kobe, things have been going bad for TSM for a while here. It seems like every time Cloud9 goes to execute their composition's goal, there's just nothing that TSM can do to hold the line against that. What's got to change here for TSM to get back onto a decent footing in this game and stop losing this ground at such a rapid rate?
I think they're actually going to have to make the pick themselves with Twisted Fate.
Well, Deadly Flourish doesn't find Perks. Nice moves coming out from Perks. He's got the juke boots on. They are laced up and ready to go. The boys right back into the fight. Now he's in the stasis, trying to buy a little bit of time. Power of Evil's going to die here. Mid laner from mid laner, 1-for-1 so far. Perks was feeling himself a little bit after them side steps, but decided to step a little bit far forward, and now he's in the ground, but the 1-for-1 is fine for Cloud9. They'll continue jumping in. Here's Sven dominating now with a kill on the enemy AD carry. Fudge keeping 2 occupied, just wasting as much time as he can. Waiting for the rest of the team to come back in here. Vulcan grabbing a kill onto Sword Art. Fudge getting the kill onto Spica. Cloud9, 4 dead on the enemy team, only losing their mid laner. Huni's alive. He's taking a red buff. What else is he going to do? He is 1v4 as a gangplank without flash, without ultimate. Just give this one away. Do not go near this Baron Pit. The chance of you stealing this is less than 1. Just don't do it.
Barrel chain.
This is foolishness. This is absolute foolishness. Vulcan is just going to occupy him the entire time. Baron is secured. Enemy jungler has his smite button, and that fight is done.
Yeah, it looks a whole lot different when TSM don't have the Galio and the Gragas from last game as their counter engage. Cloud9 have been running rampant, and this is even with Perks starting it out going very aggressive. He does not have Shroud left after using it in the rivers. Goes super deep here onto Spica and does get killed, but it does allow the rest of Cloud9 to finish up this charge. Blabber kind of zones out that lantern. If Spica takes it, then the charge goes off and Blabber can knock him back out of it anyways. If he doesn't take it, then this happens. Then C9 just turn their sights towards Lost. Take down actually a higher priority target in exchange for it. And even though Fudge pour one more ultimate out on the ground for the homies, doesn't matter because he's got way more homies left alive.
I feel like This is looking like it's going to game number 3 at this rate, Kobe. And
for sure.
if it does, I feel like Gragas' priority is going to be a very real thing. Like, this champion in both games has just been instrumental to the success of the team that it was on. Tier 2 turret falling in the mid lane now, 5-2 turret lead for Cloud9 as they're up 7,500 gold over TSM. Sven rotating into the bottom lane here. Fudge already has the minion wave primed and ready to go. Auto attacks into the tier 2 will be able to bring this down. Just like we saw last time when the roles were reversed, Cloud9 pushing down these tier 2 turrets, and TSM is not in a spot to be able to try to stop them. Perks going into the stasis, stays alive to prevent more CC from following up on that one. And all he's doing is wasting everybody on TSM's time. 3 players from TSM were trying to chase him down, and that just means that the bottom lane inhibitor gets destroyed, Sword Art gets destroyed. Everything in the TSM infrastructure in this base is collapsing, Kobe, and you've got Blabber who's not willing to stop here just yet. Lost is gone. It's a double kill over to Sven. He pops the cleanse and he goes right after Power of Evil, who gets himself away, but Speak is barely at half HP. Cloud9 with a 5-man squad, still pushing even further forward. Perks into the back, slices and dices right back through him with a perfect execution. Couldn't have named the ability better myself. Cloud9 going after Nexus turret number 1. That one should fall right about now with an uppercut from Alistar. Nexus turret number 2 about to drop as well. Cloud9 looking to tie this up, take us to game number 3. They are looking way different here in the second round, Kobe. These boys came to play, and we are going to the decider match as Sven pads the stats a little bit more, and Cloud9 has flipped that switch to the on position.
Quick little few adjustments here for Cloud9, and we do get an entire series here, 3 full games from Cloud9 and TSM in the lock-in tournament, exactly what we wanted. Honestly, I really like the small adjustments that you mentioned too with the Gragas for top lane, but there is another thing on this lineup that stands out. No other AD carry does what Kai'Sa does, and Cloud9 are running hard dive. Kai'Sa is the hardest of diving AD carries. So that as a first pick going over to Cloud9 twice with the blue side, I think is going to be one of the main things TSM now look to change moving forward, since we do get a tiebreaker game, final one here coming up.
And remember that TSM, as the team who lost game number 2, will have the ability to select their side here in game number 3. So if TSM chooses blue, things will switch up a little bit. But if they don't, we'll see something much more similar to these first couple of games, even though, honestly, I don't think I can even say that anymore truthfully, since the first 2 games were so different in their outcome. Very strong performance from Cloud9 here in this second game. 18-19-5, something along those lines was a final score line. Just absolutely slamming their opponents. Looked really good. I'm excited to see what game number 3 looks like. I hope we get to see game 1 TSM versus game 2 Cloud9 and game number 3, and it's just an absolute bloodbath. We're taking a break, but on the other side of that break, the analyst desk is going to look towards the deciding match of this best of 3. Don't y'all go anywhere.
Welcome back to the LCS, where we have ourselves a series. 1-1 stands the score as Cloud9 decided to give us another game, and I could not be happier about it. Let's start in Champions Select because there was a very important adjustment made to the Cloud9 comp this time around. Still going for that Hecarim in the jungle, but this time augmented by a couple of different picks in the solo lane. Mark?
Got the Gragas, baby, in the top lane. I like Gragas in the top. I love the flexibility that comes to this champion. Huni, last game, built it full tank against a pretty heavy AD team comp. This time around, Fudge is going for the AP build, where he's building Night Harvester and bringing some extra damage to try and assassinate people, which is really what this comp's trying to do. And that's one of the things I really like about this champion. Has a lot of good lane matchups, can play frontline, can play engage, can flex around quite a bit. So I was really happy to see that pickup.
And the other different pick is the Gragas. The Alistar. The support Alistar for Vulcan has been nuts. If you saw in the first series who he was using it, so many tower dives. But this pick here also makes it a lot harder for you to play Twisted Fate and find picks. You're never going to go for the Alistar. So getting Vulcan, who we highlighted at the start of the series, a standout for Cloud9 on one of the strongest supports, I think is making a big difference in this series.
And the best thing about C9's comp is that while it is still an engage comp and that you would like flanks, it's not necessarily something you must do, because now you have Gragas, who can be a frontline, although he did go AP, so he's still kind of looking for that kind of flank, and Alistar, who can be in the front line. You can engage from the front with flashes and have Hecarim follow up afterward. Also, with the Akali, is a much easier dive champ than TF. You don't have to ult in the back and get your Zanyas and Messiah your way out of the fight. This time you can ult in and you have your Shroud to keep you safe while you do the team fight and dive.
Now, understanding that this is a slightly different roster of 5 than 2020 for Cloud9, Mark, I think one thing remains the same between the two different iterations, and that's the aggression that this team is willing to display, and it always comes so early on into the game. This time around, building a lead with a couple of nice early plays.
Yeah, this is a big improvement for C9 in their early game. I think Fudge in particular had a really nice early game. This kind of like one-shot setup onto Spica when he's trying to contest the Rift Herald. They get a couple kills, they get to finish off the Rift Herald, and it wasn't like an explosive snowball, but it felt like the game was in their control pretty much 100% of the time. They are moving well together as a unit across the map, which is one of the things that felt like it's been lacking a little bit compared to some of the other teams.
Yeah, and here you've got the Alistar, who knows they can go, the Hecarim, keep confusing them. They know they can go for this dive because you look at what's going on the map. Jhin has been left in the bottom lane. Now we already are at a point where C9 is so strong and they can look to approach the fight from different angles. This is so confusing for TSM. Where are they supposed to run to? You've got a Gragas with insane displacement, then the Alistar as well. This combination with Hecarim makes team fighting really difficult. On top of the fact, you actually have 2 tanks in the front line of C9 with damage reduction. That's 18% at least on the Gragas, and then who knows what the Alistar numbers are on his ultimate. It is really tough to actually turn on these champions and try to pick them, so they just have to see it and try to run away and hope not to die, which didn't happen.
Another beautiful ultimate out of Fudge as well on that Gragas in the final replay that we saw in that highlight reel. And Alorum, I think that's where we got to, tip our caps to him and his performance, because, again, coming into the day, Huni, Fudge, both underperformers. Game 1, Huni steps up. Game 2, Fudge has stepped up in a big way.
Right, and so some would credit this to Gragas. Gragas has seemed really strong in this series, but it's really nice to see that Fudge had a really great game after multiple not so great games. What that says to his mental is speaking a lot, because he does not get tilted after those previous games, and he can clearly keep his head in the game and have a really great game. So it's really nice to see that a rookie can come into the LCS, take a couple L's, and come out really strong on top of it.
You credit it to the Gragas, and I want to share a short story of how I first started playing League, because I liked all the champions aesthetically and realized I would never win. So you just pick the OP champions and instantly, oh, rank 1. Okay, that's so easy. So you just pick the OP champions constantly every single patch, and the champions kind of win the game or do more for you than if you didn't. So continuing to prioritize Gragas in the top lane, I think is going to go really well thus far in lock-in.
pick the OP champs. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. It only took a decade of League of Legends for us to figure that out, but Crumbs has done it. No, I do want to now kind of reframe towards that third game of the day, as it will decide the series. One team will exit the tournament, the other will move on. And so, Mark, with TSM selecting to stay on red side, I think that's notable, number one. And then two, the growing conversation around Gragas and the question that Captain Flowers asked, where is it now in the priority list when it comes to champion select?
Yeah, I assume it's still high, which means they're either going to ban it or they have a specific counter pick that they're looking for. One of the things in TSM's previous draft was it lacked any real semblance of frontline, which is what made the dive comp for C9 hard to pull off in game one. This time around, it was like 4 squishies and kind of just a thresh, which isn't going to peel nearly enough. So I wonder what they're going to do. I think whenever you select the same side, it's kind of a hint that, like, I want you, other team, to do exactly what you just did while I make my adjustments. So I think that's probably what they're going to try to do, is let C9 get another dive comp, but have a couple more specific answers.
Well, we've seen Cloud9's willingness to run back similar compositions in the past. We'll see if they take the bait this time around. The deciding game between Cloud9 and TSM is coming up right after this.